Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. Getting it kicked off with some brand spanking new news. Of course, I just finished recording the podcast, so I didn't get this included in it. But via Tom Pelissero, free agent running back A.J. Dillon is expected to re-sign with the Packers pending a physical, per sources. I doubt he's going to not pass that physical. I don't know what's up with that comment, but it looks like A.J. Dillon's coming back, and better yet, he's coming back for almost no money. So this kind of goes along with what I've been saying about everybody has a price. And it sounded like the Packers had no interest in A.J. Dillon, and that's probably mostly true, aside from basically paying him like vet minimum. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's somewhere like maximum $2.5 million. And also, it sounds like, there's just news flying all over the place, but it sounds like this is non-guaranteed money, meaning, which I doubt will happen, meaning we go into camp, which probably still draft somebody, maybe not super early, whatever. But we go into camp, we've got, 4 or 5 running backs. If Dillon isn't one of the top 3 guys, they can cut him and they owe him nothing. Kind of surprising and speaks to how little of a market he had. Not that I expected him to have a massive market, but to be that low, that amount of money, is a little bit surprising. And I got to be honest, I'm pretty excited. We brought in a guy that's a hammer, right? He's a really strong runner in Josh Jacobs. And then we got A.J. Dillon on top of it. And I know he may not be everybody's favorite runner. I think he had a bit of a down year, which is to say that, to just look at last year and say that's what A.J. Dillon is not necessarily 100% fair. But we've got a couple guys now. You could put 25 carries on either of their shoulders and let them just smash into people. But can you imagine Lambeau Field, freezing cold, and you have Josh Jacobs and A.J. Dillon just over and over, just smashing into you? I'm a little bit excited about it. We'll see how it goes. He's got to pass the physical. He's got to get through training camp. He's got to actually make the team, which, again, Ryan said he's no hammer. That's the problem. And there is some truth to that. He's shown that he can do it. He's not consistent enough. He's too much of an upright runner. But he's a couple times got in low and dug in and smashed into people. And again, in the cold, you get a full head of steam. If he makes it to the linebackers, it's going to sting a little bit. But anyways, Josh Jacobs is going to be the lead back. There's no doubt. But I'm a little bit excited to have a bigger, more durable backfield that can kind of handle the workload. And again, I do expect him to get through this process and be on the team next year. And again, it's good for him to be able to prove that he's worthy of a contract from the Packers, right? He wants to stay here. He likes it here. He's got his family. He's got the whole Door County thing going on. So give him an opportunity to see if he can be just an absolute stud so we can just say, okay, this is our backfield. He is a legit number 2 running back, and we don't need to worry about anybody else. Whether or not he can actually earn that role, I don't know. But I'm glad. I'm happy with it. And it eases a lot of our stress in terms of looking at the backfield and going, man, we just don't have anybody. Now, again, we still have 2 guys that maybe won't be here next year, depending on how horribly it goes. But more than likely, we've kind of settled this, at least in the relative short term. Chris says, wow, this is surprising. Ryan says, we need to scat back, don't you think, added through the draft. The Packers don't really do that, and I've kind of gotten away from it a little bit as well. I always liked those guys. Trying to remember what that guy's name that I really liked. He went to Detroit. Muhammad was his last name, maybe? I don't know. But the bottom line is, they want guys that can be 3-down backs. They don't want just 3rd-down backs, guys that you put in and it's like what they're doing. They're not running the ball. They are, receiving or whatever. It just, I don't know. The Packers don't go that route. I don't think that they're going to go that route either. Goose says, Dillon is a good receiver and blocker. Wish he would show more power. Yeah, and that's, I made that comment when I watched him at Boston College. It's like, okay, those are his dimensions, and that's great. He's built like a strong back, but he's such an upright runner, nothing really comes of it. So I know he said he's worked on it. Even his wife called him out on it. I thought that was a hilarious story. His wife and his wife's family are huge Packer fans, and apparently one day she sat him down and was like, "This is bull crap. Like you gotta step it up because you're playing like crap." And I supposedly worked on it, but I don't know that it produced much. 2024 running back class suckage confirmed, says SDN40. That may have something to do with it too. There's not a lot of guys in there and not a lot of depth or whatever, but I still think we're going to come away with something. JP says he has been a hammer. Everyone has down years. Yeah, even in the past. I mean, like I said, all the way back to college, that was always my biggest issue. He was not, in my opinion, more powerful than Aaron Jones was. He just wasn't. And that's a problem when you're built as big as he is. He needs to be able to figure that out. Venom / says go Pack go. All right. With that, why don't we go ahead and get into the calls? We're going to start with Kyle from Madison.
Ryan, what's up? Kyle from Madison.
What's up?
Tell me it's all a bad dream. Aaron Jones is not the Viking.
Yeah, he is. He's out there scolding right now.
I was hoping Texans. I was thinking anywhere else. But, of course, the moment he was released, I thought, oh, shoot, he's going to be a Viking because, of course. And you know what? I don't hold any grudge against him. If he's able to get $7 million, at age 30, hey, more power to you. I mean, it sucks. But I mean, for all we know, there wasn't a whole lot of other people offering that kind of money. So I don't begrudge him. I blame the Vikings, of course, because they're disgusting.
Agreed.
And this is what they do. So yeah, I mean. Can we sign something exciting today to kind of end this?
No.
Free agency on a good note, because it's been so up and down, such an emotional roller coaster, and now we're kind of down again with him signing. Give me something else to fixate on.
How about AJ Dillon?
All in all, I mean, what an amazing day yesterday as far as the two players we were able to get. Josh Jacobs. So a lot of people, focusing on his numbers last year, they weren't great. I just was kind of looking at it. Maybe you can do a little deeper dive into his last few years, because obviously he was awesome in 2022. And I kind of looked in it for about 15 minutes. What all was going on there last year, and it's I don't know. The conclusions I came to is the offensive line was beyond crap. The coach was beyond crap. And then, if I understand correctly, it got messy with the contract. And then, did they franchise him last year? I don't know. There was a lot of older news reports. He was upset, and there was a lot of drama with how the contract was. And he was, I think, franchised, and so kind of just everything not great from an organizational standpoint and a headspace standpoint with Jacobs last year. So I understand the Packers are thinking, all right, hitch our wagon to this guy. We'll get him in a better headspace. He's going to have a better coach, a better team, better opportunities, better offensive line, hopefully a lot better offensive line by the end of the draft and everything. And they're thinking, hey, we're going to hitch our wagons to 2022 Jacobs. I do think Aaron Jones could give you, probably one more really good year. But that being said, we've seen it happen when these guys hit the wall, it's over immediately, I don't know if that's how it'll be for Jones. But certainly availability was a problem last year. Man, I was hoping they could get these two guys on the roster together. Anyway, peace out.
Locker room was trash. Coach is trash. Offense was trash. Team was trash. And yeah, you're right. There were contract issues. Essentially, Josh Jacobs did not want to be there. And the Raiders are like, well, tough. You're going to be here. So he got a 1-year deal. I don't believe you. I don't know. Maybe he was franchise tag. But you look at 2020. I mean, this is the big thing right here. 90 missed tackles forced. That is unbelievable. I mean, 28 right here, like he did last year. That's a little bit more of what we see in Green Bay. They don't do it very often, and that's what Josh Jacobs brings that we haven't had from anyone else, including AJ Dillon. Monty says Jonathan Brooks or we riot, bro. You already know I'm all about that. SDN 40, Dillon's 3-count and splits were in the red. Need more power against 300-pound defensive linemen. Got to have some short area movement skills. Yeah, well, apart from the fact that Dillon needs to be just squared up and running in a straight line because he trips over his own feet a lot, even when he runs in a straight line, again, not as much power as you would hope. So we've seen some good things from Dillon. He's just got I don't know. He's got a lot to clean up, I think. I think the vision is struggling. I think the power is struggling. I think the agility is struggling. But whatever. Josh Jacobs is our guy for sure. And we need 2022, 2021. I mean, any of these 4 years I would take. I mean, granted, 2019 and 2022 are the prime years, but any of these are completely acceptable. And, 1,653 yards, 4.9 yards per attempt, 12 touchdowns, 92 PFF grade, 92 rushing grade, 3.4 yards after contact per attempt, 90 missed tackles forced, 86 yards was his longest run, 41 carries over 10 yards, 15 over 15 yards. I mean, just an absolute monster. So, hoping we can get back to that. Dillon will be a little bit of a compliment, a little bit of giving Josh Jacobs a breather. And yeah, I think we're going to come away with somebody in the draft. Is that 3rd round? Is that 5th round? Is that 7th round? I don't know, but it's all starting to come together. And I think A.J. Dillon just takes a little bit of pressure off in terms of the urgency of making sure we find a running back.
Hey, Ryan, this is Washington Metro from Austin, of course. I just wanted to call in after this day one of free agency, give a couple quick thoughts.
Michael, within 5 seconds, has to come in and be a douchebag. He says, wait, Ryan guaranteed me A.J. Dillon will not be back. I didn't guarantee you anything, Michael. I read you a report from Tom Silverstein that said he would not be back. Okay? You're such a freaking angry douche.
I'm not going to say anything necessarily really unique. Everyone's sad about Aaron Jones, the guy I think everybody wishes would have been a Packer for life. But, there's something I think you said that maybe it was last offseason or 2 off seasons ago where, in some ways this is the time to just get excited. And there's a lot of reason to get excited with at least, the couple signings that I know of right now, which is McKinney and Josh Jacobs. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching stuff on them. I mean, they're young guys. And I just thought to myself, hey, what if we have, Adrian Peterson basically right now? This guy's just going to get better and he's just
You guys still here? My StreamYard just crashed. Let me give me 1 second here. I don't know what happened there. The whole thing just went bye-bye. But all right, let's continue. Let me back this up a little bit here because I don't know how much you guys heard.
And there's a lot of reason to get excited with at least, the couple signings that I know of right now, which is McKinney and Josh Jacobs. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching some stuff on them. I mean, they're young guys. And I just thought to myself, hey, what if we have, Adrian Peterson basically right now? This guy's just going to get better and he's just going to be great for like 6 years, 8 years, all in Green Bay. Maybe even the same for McKinney. In fact, it's probably even more likely. Although I can't think of a good parallel, but I don't know. Let's have this offseason be a really exciting one. We have a great team, and I just can't help but think with the kind of moves we're making, Gutekunst has a good track record, especially with I think his free agents. And so I'm ready to see these guys become core members for a while. I'm feeling good. Anyway, see you soon. Bye.
Yeah, I'm very excited about Jacobs and McKinney. I don't know if I can get quite as excited as you. I don't want to tamp down your excitement in any way, but Adrian Peterson for 8 years might be a bit of a stretch. If we can get 4 good years out of him and he can be 80% of what Aaron Jones has been, obviously in a different way, but in terms of how important he is to the offense, I'll be happy. And McKinney's a big one. I remember on the podcast a couple of days ago, I read an article from the Giants about how pivotal he's going to be for the defense and how much they really need him to figure it out, because 2022 was a little bit of a down year in his first year in the new scheme. And they're like, man, he's going to be the linchpin to this whole thing. And this is when he did this. 4th best safety, 89 PFF grade, etc. And I kind of feel the same way. I mean, it doesn't have to be, it's a safety, etc. But man, the difference that he can make if he can just continue playing the way that he's playing, to have a guy like that. We haven't had a premier safety. I don't know how long it's been since we've had that just stud safety. And if we can get Jair playing, slightly better than this, if we can get this figured out, whether it's Stokes or otherwise, get Gary playing a little bit better, get Van Ness, get him a little bit more involved on that side and get him rocking, get the linebackers going. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm also very excited. Maybe not quite as excited as you, but I am excited. Ryan, how does McKinney have such iffy PFF scores over the years if he had the number 1 coverage grade over that time and I believe a very good tackler? I don't know exactly what you mean about iffy. Are you talking about like last year where it wasn't very good or whatever? Let's just pull this up real quick. Oh, no, we don't want his rushing grade. We want his... So, how does he have iffy PFF scores over the years if he's the number 1 coverage grade over that time? Well, I mean, if you're talking about a span of time, he didn't have a good year that year necessarily. And I believe very good tackle. Yes, he's been an elite tackler essentially for 4 straight years. This was just a down year. The coverage was down. Run defense was down. He's always been a good tackler, though. So I don't think that that's going to be a problem. I think as far as why, remember, 2020 and 2021, he was in a cover 2 system, right? So he went from year 1 to year 2. And yeah, Nico Collins says the Morak. That was kind of the first name that popped into my head. There might have been some others mixed in, but Nico came to mind. Year 2, right? He didn't play a ton here, but year 2, he takes a jump, right? It's a small jump. Then we get a new system that comes in, right? And he goes from cover 2 to, middle field close, cover 1, cover 3, and he doesn't do very well. And then he takes a big jump. So that's my explanation of this. I don't know that that's the case, but I just think he took a minute, and once he got it figured out, you can clearly see the difference here in 2023 with being, one of the top safeties in football. Michael says, Goot has always liked Dillon. I do too. The mayor of Door County was never going anywhere. I was right again. Wow, you are a genius. You're right. Goot loves him. That's why he paid him $1 million to come back. Let's see. The Dillon signing should not change draft strategy. I don't think it will. It's a 1-year deal that I don't think has any guarantees in it, so he may not even be here this year. Probably will be, Michael. Don't worry. I'm not saying he won't be here, so don't come in here and say, you said he was going to get cut, because I know you will. Let's see. Too old for this. I was driving, and now I'm not. When Ryan called Michael a douche, I thought, Streamlabs is going to kick Ryan for using foul language. Then the stream went down. Don't call Michael a douche, Ryan. Sorry. Maybe that's it. Streamlabs is just shutting me down. Let's take our first break. We're kind of sailing pretty fast here. We'll come back and we'll hear from Kyle and Madison.
Hey, Ryan, Kyle from Madison.
What's up?
Hey, I know you had to skip some calls because it made a lot of sense because obviously we don't care about the calls probably before free agency because everything's changed, So I totally get it. But if I'm repeating some of the things that I said, I apologize if some of those calls make it back. But I wanted to reiterate a couple things that I think you probably skipped for good reasons, just to get to the meat of the conversation here. But I think they're somewhat important. One, I can't stand and this happened with when Rodgers got traded, where you have like the, insert name, Skip Bayless, whoever you want, and they try to make this comparison between like a prime, in that case, prime Rodgers versus, Love, or in this case, prime Aaron Jones versus Jacobs. And it's like, yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about 30-year-old, or
right.
Season 30,
right?
And Jacobs just turned 26. So 4-year difference, 26-year-old Jacobs versus 30-year-old Aaron Jones. Like if there was a possibility of prime 26-year-old Aaron Jones, yes, then we can have it.
I actually just saw that today. I don't think I played it on tomorrow's podcast or not. I was going through a lot of YouTube stuff, so that's kind of what tomorrow is, kind of getting caught up on what the YouTube media narrative is. Have a little bit of fun with that. But yeah, there was a guy who was like, I didn't really like it. Actually, I don't think I played it. I might have even just seen it on Twitter, but he was like, I don't really like it. I just think Aaron Jones is a better running back. It's not to say Josh Jacobs isn't a good running back. I think Aaron Jones is better. And I'm sitting here like, I think we all kind of agree with that. I mean, 2022, Jacobs was probably better. But let's just say over the course of their careers, Aaron Jones has been better. All things being equal, in other words, age being equal, and let's say they're both healthy the entire season, Aaron Jones is probably the better player and would be the better person to pay if the Packers had a choice. Dare I even say, I'm going to take it so far as to say, if Aaron Jones was 26, we would have paid him that contract. I know because we did do that already. We've done that several times. We've paid Aaron Jones. But he's not. He's 30, and he's not healthy. So, yeah, I mean, your point is well taken. Most people understand that, but there's still some people out there that want to argue like, well, Jones is better. That's not really the point, though.
That conversation, but I just think it's so funny. The media it's like Jones is like he's always the same player in their
right.
when they're arguing, and it's frustrating because it's like, no, that's not what we didn't release 26-year-old Aaron Jones.
Right.
We released 30-year-old Aaron Jones, or going to be 30-year-old Aaron Jones. Not the same, okay? So first of all, can we say that? Just like we didn't trade Hall of Fame or MVP Aaron Rodgers, we traded former MVP Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, I hate that. Anyway, now I've taken up 2 minutes talking about that, but man, there's some takes out there that make me crazy today about that. I wanted to talk about Jacobs, though, and I brought this up a couple days ago, or yesterday, I guess. Didn't make the cut, but I really think it's super important to understand, like, if you look at the amount of workload that Jacobs has been able to take in the past, it's way more than what Jones ever could.
Yeah.
Well, we think. I mean, they should have given him the ball probably more. But what it signals to me, and this is what I said yesterday, that the Goot wants some home games in the snow. And he wants a back that can just take that ball and cram it down your throat. Just keep handing Jacobs the ball, because he's that kind of runner. He wears you down, he's punching you in the face. And that's not how, that's what I think they wanted Dillon to be, and he just never materialized. So it signals to me like, hey, how do we prepare for some home games in the weather? Because Jacobs is more that back. And that has been a problem, and Dillon never really rose to the occasion with the exception of one Titans game in the snow.
It's a great game, but yeah.
So, I mean, that's a big shift to me, and I love it. So anyway, get your comments on that.
Yeah, first of all, I've mentioned this before, but if I do skip your calls, understand why I'm skipping the calls, and if it's still a relevant topic, just call back in. I know that might be inconvenient, maybe you don't want to, but you're more than welcome to. I'm not saying if I skipped it, I never want to hear it again. It's just there's going to be a lot of calls that are irrelevant and not great for the show, and so yeah, if you have a call about like this or pizza or a movie or any kind of evergreen topic, like, I think this is going to happen this year, just call it back in. It's fine. Beyond that, though, yeah, I mean, if you look at the attempts, let's see, Josh Jacobs in 2021 ran 230 times. That would be the second most for Aaron Jones ever. 221 was his second most. In 2019, he ran it 268 times. That was the most. And you got to also factor in, I think, anyways, yeah, this is regular and postseason. What if we just do regular season and compare the two? Because let's face it, the Raiders don't go to the postseason. So if we just look at regular season, 235 was his most. So 217. It would still be the second most for Aaron Jones. So his lowest, I'm tripping over my words. Josh Jacobs' lowest attempts would be Aaron Jones' second highest attempts. 339 attempts is his most. Aaron Jones' most was 235. So you're talking over 100 more carries on their highest seasons. So yeah, Josh Jacobs is, and that's what Gutekunst wants. He wants a guy that you can put a bunch of carries on his shoulders, right? I mean, even early in the season, 19 carries, 28 carries, 21, 20, 17, 21, 24, 33, 26, 26, 22, 17, 17. You know, I mean, Aaron Jones just is not getting that. You know, I mean, he didn't get 20 carries until week 8, and then 24 in week 10, and that's it. Those are the only times he had over 20 carries the entire season. And that was on purpose. You know, it frustrated the living crap out of it. You know, where's Aaron Jones? Where's Aaron Jones? Why isn't he on the field? Well, that was the reasoning. They didn't feel his body could hold up and couldn't take it, so they pulled him. And yeah, our offense went to crap when he wasn't out there. And you can use that as a defense of Aaron Jones to say, you know, look at what a difference maker he is. And it's true. Our offense was completely different when he was on the field, but it also works against Aaron Jones. Because the fact of the matter is we needed him to be out there, and he couldn't be out there. That's the negative of it all. Let's see. GR7070 says Jones is the far better running back. However, going forward, and only 1 year under contract, 30, few touches per game, etc. Assuming we're going to pay a running back, it's easy to understand. Right. And that's the thing. Like, if you want to normalize everything, make everything exactly equal, yes, you take Aaron Jones. Everything isn't equal. And the fact that some people don't see that is crazy. Michael says, I'll take Jacobs on a 4th and 1 on the goal line, and that matters. Jonesy always got stuffed on 4th and 1. Yeah, he had some power once in a while because he can kind of get low, but yeah, you take Jacobs 10 times out of 10 when you're dealing with things like power and whatnot, and his ability to break tackles is absolutely shocking. The fact that he had, 90 missed tackles forced in 2022? 90? Aaron Jones' highest was 53. So, yeah, and that would be his 4th out of... he's only played 5 seasons. 3 of them were higher than Aaron Jones' highest ever. And remember, Jones has played many more seasons. So, yeah, I mean, that's just how Josh Jacobs runs. He's a much more powerful, much harder to bring down kind of guy. He's one of those guys that he doesn't look like... You know, he's not like A.J. Dillon where he just looks massive. But guys just fall off of him, and that's why he reminds me of the guy out of Texas, where it's like, how did you not tackle him right there? It seems like a fluke. First time I watched it, I'm like, he broke a bunch of tackles, but that's BS. Like, that was just a bad tackle attempt, and then you see it again and again and again, and it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe he's just kind of a freaking machine. Chris N says AR12 is out there talking Sandy Hook conspiracies like Alex Jones. I haven't delved into this at all. I see people are bringing it up. The only thing I saw was him talking about it at the time, and he didn't say anything about conspiracies. He just said it was a tragedy. Now, maybe his opinion evolved over time. I have no idea what's going on with that. I see people are mad at him. Maybe it's because they're taking this VP thing very seriously, because, you know, that's how politics are. You even dare to dip your toe in, and people are going to come after you, which is surprising because the guy's not going to win anything. But still, that's what happens. They start tearing you apart. So it's going to get ugly for Aaron Rodgers if there is anything serious about him dipping his toe in the VP thing, which I would assume is not going to happen. There seems to be interest in one direction. I can't imagine. After football, sure. But this year, that doesn't make any sense to me. Too old for this, says Dillon and Jacobs on the love tush push. Guaranteed first down every time. Yeah, I could dig that. I don't know why they don't do that more often. Get the running backs involved. All right. Here is Nate with more rage and anger.
Hey, Pack Daddy.
What's up?
Nate. Just had to call in because I'm just like on Twitter, you know, like I probably shouldn't be because it's where all the worst takes are. And I'm seeing so much anger about the Aaron Jones thing. And I know it's probably going to be said a million because we got to do it every time that we lose a player who's getting up in age.
Naughty language.
But Goody don't care, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It was right to get rid of Aaron Jones.
I mean, look, it's easy to be an emotional fan on social media and to say, I would never, and he deserves better, and take, it's what Aaron Rodgers and all the players go that way, and some fans follow him, and, you don't want a GM to actually be that way. If you want to play that game and try to win some clout by being overly emotional and talking about how much you love somebody, that's fine. But if you actually want our GM to operate that way, I hope you never run anything ever, because that would be a disaster. For him to keep people based on, well, they've been so nice and they've been so good to us and they've done so much. Who gives a crap? We're trying to win a Super Bowl. That's it. That's your only goal. Help us win a Super Bowl.
I didn't like it. There's always that part of me that's like, man, he probably had one more good year in him, but do you want to keep him around, too long to where he starts to suck and then everybody starts hating on him? Or, what do you want? Like, show me, do this. Go, either Pack Daddy, you do it, or somebody else do it. Go out and find me a running back who is 30 years old, 30 or older, and you tell me, find 5 of those guys and tell me how many of them are elite, not running backs who can still pick up some yards and, still be kind of reliable, but like the guy, number 1 running back. He's the guy. He is a game changer. Find me the 30-year-old who does that. You're not going to. Maybe you'll find 2. It just doesn't happen. It's a position that they wear out so fast, and it's not their fault, but you got to have that lizard brain. You got to say, okay, he's at the end. We are going in a new direction. This is a new generation. We are switching things up. And I'm sorry, Aaron Jones, but unless you're going to come back on a team-friendly deal for your age, for your production, for your injury history, they told him what he was worth. He said no. Now he's going to play for basically the same price at Minnesota, and he's the one going to be all pissy. Like, you have to know your worth, man. Know your worth in this world, whether that's a lot or a little. You got to know your worth. Okay, that's all I got to say on it. I'm sure you're probably already fielding calls about it, but go Taco.
Yeah, so just going through the top 10 via PFF, Raheem Mostert would be the only one that was in his 30s, and I mean, I think he was, where would he be? He'd be outside of the top 5, but he did crack it with a 91 rushing grade. Whether or not he's going to repeat that, I would say probably less than likely. He has been very good in Miami for a while, but you can see this is a bit of an outlier for him. So, yeah, I mean, your point's obviously pretty well taken. I mean, 22 years old. Christian McCaffrey's 27. Derrick Henry's 29. James Conner, 28. McLaughlin, no idea how old he is for some reason. Kenneth Walker is 23. Tyler Algier is 23. Breece Hall is 22. Isaiah Pacheco is 24. So not only do you not usually see 30-year-olds, but the reality is a lot of these guys are 22, 23, 24. It's a young man's game in general, probably especially so at running back. Dillon and Bach gave us 0 rings. Nice guys don't win chips. Let's go. Fair enough. Yeah, I was going to say, what are you talking about, Dillon? Thought that was your boy, man. Aaron Jones. I mean, I agree, but Dillon is included on that list. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back and hear from Aaron.
Hey, Ryan. This is Aaron. I'm glad I didn't call in before when Aaron Jones was gone and went to the Vikings, because I let the emotions of all of it settle down, and I got starting to see the potential, and I'm very, very happy to get Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney and re-sign Keyshawn Nixon and all the guys, and I'm very excited for this team going forward, right? And so my emotions for most of the day today have been like, oh crap, Aaron Jones is a Viking. I can't believe it. And I still can't, but I'm more okay with it now, as after all the emotions have calmed down and starting to settle in. But here's something that is absolutely insane. At the moment that I started to become more okay with Aaron Jones being a Viking, an article pops across my phone that says Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be the running mate for Robert Kennedy in this election. And what is going on right now? This makes no sense. Like, is David Bakhtiari going to be Secretary of State and Randall Cobb? Is he going to go be like, I don't know, is he going to just automatically get step promoted to four-star general of the Air Force? I don't freaking know. But it's just like, what the heck is going on with the world and sports and stuff? But this free agency has been absolutely wild. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, somebody sent me something. I forget who it was, but it was an Instagram thing. And it was like, because Rodgers always brings everybody with him, there's going to be Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb are going to be a part of his cabinet. And it's like, yeah, Nathaniel Hackett's going to be Secretary of State, and that would be hilarious. Listen, again, Aaron Rodgers is the gift that keeps on giving. And it's like, well, Rodgers maybe didn't have anything to do with this. I understand, but he puts himself in these positions, I mean, he's the one that's out there buddying up to somebody. He's making very public speeches about his positions on things and everything else. He's obviously developed such a relationship with RFK that RFK is seriously considering or has asked him to be a VP. I don't know what the case is. So whether or not he's going to take that offer seriously or not, just by virtue of who Rodgers is and what he's been doing over the last several years, these kinds of things continue to happen, and I find them entertaining. I know the hardcore Aaron Rodgers contingent, which still exists, which is weird. I mean, they're always like, why can't you get over Rodgers? Like, bro, why can't you get over Rodgers? Like, what are you talking about? We're all over here just joking and laughing and having a good time, and they're so touchy about Aaron Rodgers. Just kind of cracks me up. But, I think it's great, and I hope that more craziness ensues, and I think the longer Rodgers sticks around, the better, and I will continue to talk about it because it's funny. I don't think there's anything necessarily bad about it. I mean, obviously the Sandy Hook thing is serious, but I have not seen anybody show any comments about that he's made or whatever. Something about an allegation somebody once said, somebody said, but an actual public statement from Aaron Rodgers was about how it was a tragedy when it happened. I don't know why somebody asked him in an interview, but he didn't say any conspiracy theory type stuff, and then he came out publicly just now and more or less said it was, yes, it did happen, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know where that came from, that he doesn't believe it's real or whatever the case is. I don't know where that comes from. But anyways, it doesn't matter. To me, it's all entertaining. Some of it kind of crosses the line. I'm not going to joke about his position on Sandy Hook, but the rest of it, I'm going to joke about it because I find it funny.
As my emotions have settled over this releasing Aaron Jones and bringing in Josh Jacobs, I am very excited about it and the future of this team. And I don't know what else to say. It's just, don't let the emotions become your decision, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because there's, like, I don't know. Yeah. I guess vote Aaron Rodgers. I don't know anymore. I don't know. Politics. Anyways, bye.
I remember when Brett Favre was a Packers quarterback, he would always get a bunch of votes for president every year, or every time the election would come up. It was always like Brett Favre would get 400 votes or something crazy. You do kind of wonder, considering, I'm going to get myself in trouble, but let's just be flat out honest. Two of the most hated people in the world are Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Like, it's just, everybody hates them. I mean, there's people that obviously hardcore love at least Trump. I don't know if anybody likes Biden, but as far as like how many people despise them, real high. I would think, especially if Aaron Rodgers jumps on that ticket. I know a lot of people despise Aaron Rodgers too, but there's going to be enough people that are like, I'm not doing it, that would vote for them. That it would actually be not even close to successful, but one of the most successful third-party runs probably ever. Just because I just want something else to do. New topic, offensive tackle at 25. Possibly, I was thinking about running a poll on that. if we assume that the Packers still want a premier position in the first round, meaning they're not taking a safety, they're not taking a linebacker, they're not taking a running back, tight end, whatever, what would they do? I would lean edge, but if you had to pick, our corner would be another good one. I just wonder how likely it would be a tackle could actually be. And I know a lot of people get touchy about that and would never want to imagine us taking a tackle. I think it's a possibility. I really do. What would it take for AJ to have a better season? I don't know, run the ball better, I guess. Silver says, I don't know what that means. Too old for this. Being from Minnesota, I will say that Ventura is a much better option than Rodgers. He was actually a good governor, and his fiscal policies were on point. Yeah, Ventura was that was always a fun. I remember when he got elected, and I remember just rolling my eyes because Minnesota is just like, I just find Minnesota to be the most ridiculous state ever. It's like, it's in the middle of like the Midwest, and it just seems like it shouldn't be like California, but it is. Like they got, who's the guy from SNL that you guys elected? The guy that like wore a diaper and stuff. That was absurd. And then they get Jesse Ventura. It was like California before California. Remember when they had like a bunch of celebrities running? It was the year I think that Arnold Schwarzenegger actually won it, but there were like 15 different celebrities all trying to run. But Minnesota did it first. They did it before it was cool. But yeah, Ventura would just stuck around for a really long time and has continued to stay in politics. And you're right, he probably would be a much better option. But it would be more entertaining for us if it was Rodgers. GR says cornerback would make sense. I tend to agree. We need 4 corners. That matters in addition to being a premium position. Al Franken, thank you. Yes, exactly. Al Franken. I thought that was hilarious that they got Al Franken and Jesse the Body Ventura in Minnesota. Like, people just, it's cold. I don't give a crap. I'm going to do whatever I want. If I want anything to happen in this draft, it's for us to beef up the O-line. I mean, beef. Yeah, I had that thought, and I think I mentioned it on tomorrow's podcast, where it's like, now that we got Josh Jacobs, it kind of reinvigorated that thought of, man, you know, we kind of got the passing game on lockdown, right? That seems to be going real well. Probably should take a step. Hopefully some of these rookies, second-year guys who are becoming second- and third-year guys, and some of the tight ends becoming second-year guys, and Jordan going into his second year as a starter, that'll continue to improve. But, man, if we really beef up that offensive line and make it as imposing as our passing game is, to where it's like, okay, you know we're running, what are you going to do about it? That would just be absolutely fantastic. All right, Aaron, number 2.
Hey, Ryan, Aaron again.
My wife is calling me.
So I've spent today talking to, because I live in Minnesota, so most of the people that I know here are Vikings fans.
Sure.
And I just want, with Aaron Jones going to Minnesota and going to the Vikings, all I care about, I just really hope that they appreciate Aaron Jones. I mean, it's going to take a learning curve. They don't know Jones like the Packers fans do.
Sure.
So I think they'll see how great of a dude Aaron Jones is. And that's all I can hope for, is that they appreciate him. They see how good of a leader he is and how much of a difference maker he is. So I've spent kind of the Vikings fans. It's weird that I'm comforting Vikings fans, but telling them how good of a guy he is, and how actually good of a player they have in Aaron Jones. But anyways, another thing that can't be overlooked with the new signings is how good the new signings are. It's so easy to get lost in the fact that we lost Aaron Jones, but Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney are no joke as far as free agent signings go. And I'm really excited because Xavier McKinney, based on his reaction, doesn't seem like a guy who's going to get paid and then just crap the bed, you know? Like, he seems really excited to be in Green Bay. And I think he's going to be able to pick up what it means to be a cheesehead and live in a smaller town than New York. And I'm so excited for what Xavier McKinney is going to be able to do in the Jeff Hadley defense. And Josh Jacobs, man, like, sure, it hurts to lose Aaron Jones, but Josh Jacobs is no joke either. He's been, for the most part, really healthy. he's been a very solid running back. And the only time that he wasn't top notch was when the entire Raiders team wasn't top notch. And he's been rushing for over 1,000 yards for pretty much every year. Put up 1,600 yards on the ground one year. He is not something to be scoffed at. Yes, we lost Aaron Jones, but we gained a very good player in Josh Jacobs for a pretty good price too. And so it sucks that we lost Aaron Jones. Yes, that's a big thing, but I just hope that people don't overlook the signings that we made. Dude knocked it out of the park. Anyways, I'm about to hit 3 minutes, so go, Pat, go. Let's freaking go.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know why I'm excited about McKinney in particular, it's this right here. This is what I'm excited about more than anything. And them being able to get their hands on the guys that we already have, including McKinney, right? Halfley is a DB guy. Ansley, pass game coordinator, DB guy, right? And we've even brought in defensive assistant who was a former co-defensive coordinator, I think, for Halfley over at Boston College. To have these guys in here, to be able to see what they can do, to get the best out of McKinney, but also Jair and the rest of the guys, as well as what are we going to do in the draft. I'm very excited about the signings that we've made, and I'm very excited about the additions that we're going to continue to bring in and what these guys are going to be able to do. And very hopeful that these guys here can also get some good work done as far as, helping to get the run game going, get the best out of Josh Jacobs. Hopefully, Stenovich and Luke Butkus can kind of get the offensive line whipped into shape. But I think we got a good group of coaches, and this is what gets me excited about the guys that we've got. I think probably more than anything, because listen, I mean, some teams they bring in guys and it's just they don't have the coaches, right? I remember somebody talking about this where there would be some, everybody wants to get the guys that have high ceilings. He was talking about how they always want to get guys with the raw talent, and they're like, we can coach them up. They always believe they can coach them up, but some guys can't. They're just not good enough. And I'm excited because I know we have the offensive staff. We've seen it. We've seen the development of our wide receivers, of our tight ends, of our offensive line, of our quarterback. If we can get that same kind of production from our defense in terms of development, holy crap.
Yo, Uncle Rico calling.
What's up?
Hey. I just listened to, I called in a few days ago. I jumped ahead to listen to the free agency stuff. So anyways, I heard myself on the After Dark, and I didn't mean that Clayton is bad or terrible. He's just not his style. Yeah, it seems like when you say things, Ryan, that's what I'm thinking most of the time. Not 100% of the time, of course, but most of the time, yeah. And then Clayton is not so much. So that's the only thing. Clayton, I love you, man, dude. You're a Packer fan, so you're 97% of the way there. That's all that matters, bro. Anyways, free agency. McKinney or whatever, the safety, sounds good. I didn't think we were going to get that guy. I don't know if we want him. Time will tell. Not saying we don't want him. I just don't know much about him. And losing Aaron Jones, that kind of stinks. But, it's the biz. You got to do what you got to do. He went to the Vikings. That kind of stinks. But we get to watch him a couple times a year, if not more. So that's cool. And I hope he stays healthy. But I hope we beat the Vikings twice a year and maybe in the playoffs, every time. And I hope we're just ahead of the Vikings.
I think there's a good chance we go 2-0 against the Vikings this year. They're in a bit of a down year. Unless they just absolutely luck out at quarterback, I think they're going to be struggling big time this year.
Other than that, they can win one less game than we do. I'm fine with that. I don't like the Vikings, by the way. Not just because they're in the division, but, they're the Vikings, Anyways, just, I was feeling bad. I didn't mean to say Clayton wasn't cool. Because Clayton's cool, right? And, Jennifer Garner, first T-Swift. Yeah, not sexy, but, she's not hideous or anything. She's not really, she's not slutty enough to be sexy. Same with Jennifer Garner. She'd make a nice wife. All right? Rio out.
We've gone a couple days without hardly being very controversial in any kind of way. And I am proud to say that we have officially crossed that barrier again. We are saying stuff. Let's just move on. Kyle, what's up?
Hey, Kyle from Madison. Yeah, so I'm listening to your pod on Jones. I'm about halfway through it here, but so if you end up having some of these same conclusions, then more power to you.
Okay, thank you.
I think you're right in your assessment, at least so far your assessment on the pod. I feel like between Jones, when I saw those numbers for the Vikings and what the Packers had offered, I was a little bit taken back. First of all, though, I love it when regular Joe Schmo out there is criticizing a guy because he took $2 million more. Bro, most of us aren't even going to see $2 million in our lives. So just chill on it's only $2 million thing. Yeah, I'm going to begrudge somebody because they wanted $2 million more dollars. Of course I'm not. Now, that being said, yeah, I think you're right. Had he known the end numbers before he was released, I think it makes it highly likely that they could have worked something out. But I think a couple things are going on here. I think the Packers were sincere when they said with Jones in February, but I also think something changed. I don't know what it was, but maybe they found out that they would have a shot at Jacobs. I don't know if that was it, but it feels like something changed. And I think the Packers maybe didn't want him back at that point. I don't know about that.
Sure.
But what seems most likely is, look, Drew Rosenhaus, who is Jones' agent, and there's a reason he's been called the Gordon Gekko of freaking agents, okay? He has, first of all, he's a great agent as far, if you're a top of market dude, Drew Rosenhaus is going to extract every last cent on your contract from the team, or he's going to get you out of there in the past in some spectacular nature. Let's remember Terrell Owens doing push-ups and stuff. That was Rosenhaus. But he also has a history of kind of, getting in the player's ear and making them think they're worth more than they are, and not, because now Rosenhaus is going to make $2 million extra, so he's going to make 20% or whatever on that. Right? So he doesn't really care if he's at the Packers, right? He just wants to make more money.
Right.
And he does have a habit of inflating players' their worth. So I do think they thought they were going to get 11 or 10 or more on the market, and then that wasn't there. And the Packers had already moved on. But I am not a big Rosenhaus fan.
Packers aren't either.
Never have been. Yeah, if you're one of the top 5 of your position, he's going to be awesome for you. But if you're not, I think it gets sticky. Especially if you come from a downtrodden kind of family. So anyway, peace.
Do not know what the heck is going on. What I was saying is, all of Rosenhaus's people are gone. And there was some talk a long time ago, I remember hearing about this, how there were teams or people. No, I didn't say anybody was a douche. I don't understand. Wait a minute. Oh, you're getting yelled at. No using foul language, too old for this. Anyways, it was a story a long time ago. I don't remember if this was from the Packers or what, but they were just we hate this agent. We do not want to work with him. We hate dealing with him, whatever. And it kind of seems like that might be the case with Rosenhaus. Now, I don't know how accurate this is, but somebody had posted something about how Rosenhaus, or at the very least, that group of guys, there were a bunch of people that were represented by him in Green Bay, and they're all out now. On the flip side, there's a bunch of guys coming in that are represented by Mulugeta. So he's kind of like the bigwig powerhouse that the Packers like dealing with. And I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is, and maybe that's exactly it. Maybe it's Rosenhaus is the guy that's like, you're going to pay my guy top dollar or we're going to walk. And, the Packers and maybe just Gutekunst, like, they just don't get along in terms of, like, the way that you negotiate. I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to deal with these kind of contracts. And if you're going to be that way, and remember, I think, let's just assume Rodgers is represented by him, which I think is the big one. Think about how ugly that went down and how bad that was. That may leave a bad taste in Brian Gutekunst's mouth, and maybe there is some form of pettiness there where it's like, I'm not dealing with you, and I'm not dealing with your BS contracts, and I'm not going to deal with your BS negotiating, and all your guys can get out of here. And so those guys are out, and new guys are coming in, and it's kind of like Rosenhaus is not welcome in Green Bay. If you want to come to Green Bay, you might not want to select Drew Rosenhaus, and obviously they would be willing to draft people or whatever if that was the case. But it's an interesting dynamic that I think gets underplayed, is how much teams want to deal with certain agents and maybe just not liking them and understanding that it's just not going to go very well. Too Old for This says, Rosenhaus only cares about money. The other dudes care about quality and experience. It seems like all the players who have Drew represent overly petty when they leave. Well, yeah, and that's another part of it too, is they leave and they've got an attitude, and that could be the agent getting in their ear. Just look at how all these guys react. As far as like Rosenhaus being like, I care about you and what's best. The team doesn't. If they did, they would have signed the deal. But we're gonna go find it somewhere else. Don't worry about it. I don't know. But it is interesting. I'll see if I can find that. And somebody had already, actually it was Devondre Campbell's wife had chimed in, and she was like, we're not actually represented by Rosenhaus. And the guy was like, okay, but, athletes first. Like, it's the same company that represents you, although I think Mulligetta might be part of that. I don't know. The point is, though, there does seem to be a mass exodus of those core of people, all represented by that same base of people, that Green Bay is just... they're just exiting them and saying goodbye. We're not dealing with you anymore, and are just going to start. And that in and of itself is somewhat of a negotiating tactic. You think you got me over a barrel. You don't. You and all your players can leave. I don't need you. We'll have new players in here tomorrow. And it's not good for Rosenhaus to have teams lock the door and say, we don't want to deal with you, and we're not going to deal with you. That hurts him. That hurts his brand. That hurts the deals he's able to get and his ability to tie up clients. But on the flip side, you've got Too Old for This saying he got John Runyon overpaid, so he's not letting Jones take a 50% off coupon. As long as he can get guys overpaid somewhere, he'll probably be able to keep getting clients. But anyways, I'm going to cut it off there. That flew by really fast. I feel like I've been doing this for 20 minutes. But thank you guys for hanging out. If you're on YouTube right now, please do me a favor and like the video, subscribe. If you're on Facebook, please follow. If you're on X, which I'm still convinced most of you are bots, do me a favor and follow me on there. Or you could just leave a comment to let me know that you're real. Supposedly 317 of you there, but nobody comments, nobody subscribes, nobody does anything. I'm convinced. Until I get 300 comments or 300 followers, I'm convinced you're all bots. You were all created by Elon Musk. You're welcome, GR7070. Have a great day.